And it's good. What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night. Time to talk some football. Um, it's a lovely Tuesday night. Obviously, we've got a lot going on to talk about. But first, as is always tradition, let's go ahead and start out with yeah, our sponsors for our fake our studios. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
What
I'm a little bit
the
behind today.
hell?
It's been a very busy day today. So, believe I've already used this one, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the Circuit City Studios today because I don't think there's any more Circuit Cities left anymore.
I was just about to do that one, dude. So I guess I'm
Too
going to have to
bad,
change mine
so
up.
sad. Too bad, so sad.
You know what?
You know what? I take it back. I take it
Yeah,
back. I
yeah.
take it back. You have
No,
Circuit
you already
City.
used it. No takebacks. No takebacks.
No
No,
take backs.
no, no
No.
takebacks. You got Circuit City. So what's
Fine.
up, IMBD? Today I'm going to come at you from the Builder Square Studios, since we're going to talk about old department stores that are no longer around.
Yep. And you've used that one before, but
I
that's
know
fine.
I have probably as well.
And I think
So
I have also because I think I told you about my shop teacher, Mr. Donahue, who used to work at a certain high school and then also had a side gig over there as well. And I think he made more money at Builder Square than he did at the school that he worked at. So
probably
it's
so
all
back
good.
in those days.
Whatever. The point being is that it's Tuesday night. We're here. We're having some fun, talking some smack, and we've got a pretty decent amount of stuff to cover, right? So why don't we start with, kind of football that's happening right now, and maybe not so much in a certain North Texas town, but let's talk about the IFL playoffs this weekend.
Man, I tell you what, we're not going to bury the lead here. Frisco Fighters, the way they've been playing in the playoffs these last few years, they might as well start calling themselves America's IFL team because it is just ridiculous.
Wow. I mean, you're not wrong, but it's okay. So for those that maybe aren't following Frisco and the IFL as closely as we are, and again, thanks to our friends over at Pro Arena Talk for all of their gracious commentary and the news that we don't really have to go look for because they look for it for us because they're just nice guys like that and they love this sport. Frisco the last couple of years has made it into the playoffs and has not won a single championship game in the last 3 years, I think it is.
Yeah, 3 years. What and not just made it to the playoffs. Made it to the playoffs is like one of the top two seeds, like one of the favorites to win it all. Last year they were, heads and shoulders above everybody else and lost their first game.
Yeah.
This year, same thing. Playing obviously, they're playing a team that was ranked lower than them that had less wins, and they got beat again. And I don't remember what the circumstances were 3 years ago, but kind of the same thing. They, got beat in the playoffs. So yeah, they're reaching Dallas Cowboys territory here with the way they choke in the playoffs. And I say that as obviously a Cowboys fan. So, apparently
Yep.
all those North Texas area teams, they just like to show up the same way in the playoffs.
Well, except for Arlington, right? We got to give Arlington credit where credit is due.
1 year. I mean, last year
Yeah.
they didn't show up to the playoffs at all. They didn't even get there. But
Last year they didn't show up to the stadium to play.
yeah,
It was horrible, man. But yeah, so again, Frisco being Frisco in typical Frisco fashion, they showed up as one of the top two seeds in their division, well, in the playoffs even, and conveniently got beat by the Massachusetts Pirates, right? And it wound up being a loss, right? Massachusetts won that game 53-50. It honestly, they were ahead for most of the game. It came down to they finally lost the lead in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in the game, 2.5 minutes left in the game. And Massachusetts scores the go-ahead touchdown with the field goal. So you got your 7 points right there. They took the lead by 1. Massachusetts kicks the ball off. And keep in mind, guys, that Frisco was in charge of this game pretty much the entire time. They never once – I think there was one time where the score was tied, and that was at the very beginning of the game. 4 minutes left in the first quarter. The score was tied 7-7. After that, I take it back. There was one lead change other than that where Massachusetts did take the lead. But Frisco got it right back, and they stayed ahead, and they kept ahead at least by a touchdown the entire time. Okay, at one point they were up by what, 2.5 touchdowns, something like that.
Yeah, it was like I don't know. I was told there would be no math. 16 points.
Yeah.
So
Um, so definitely ahead. Not really. I mean, they were doing what Frisco does, which is dominate the game. And then that come from behind touchdown, right? The last 8 minutes was pretty much, yeah, well, actually nine. The last 9 minutes was pretty much all Massachusetts, and Frisco
yeah.
did. So
And
anyway,
you said something. The dominating Frisco. That's kind of something we've talked about all year long. Like they've they haven't been the Frisco that we saw last year. They've kind of uh, not put away teams where they should have. Just kind of coasted through a lot of games, like what our buddy XFL Mike G here said. Like they just coasted through the games. They kind of they pulled one out at the victory out at the end, and but a lot of the games we saw were like, man, you should be way better than what you're looking like right now. And we talked last week, is that going to cost them? And sure enough, it did. They played another playoff team, and that coasting through the entire game, well, it didn't work when Massachusetts decided to make a run and ended up coming back to bite them. So
yep. Real quick, I forgot to put the comments on, so do our shout outs real quick. What's up, Zoe? What's up, Tim? Love seeing you here. XFL Mike G, love seeing you, man. So going back to the Frisco thing, right? They coasted, they got complacent towards the end, and wound up costing them the go ahead touchdown. And then to add insult to injury, Massachusetts kicks the deuce, goes up by 3, and Frisco does nothing.
not a
Two and a
thing.
half minutes left in the game, and they do nothing.
Which is like an eternity in Arena League. I mean, 2.5 minutes is a long time in NFL football. 2.5 minutes is like 4 or 5 possessions in Arena League.
Yeah,
So the fact
it's
that Frisco did nothing after that is just terrible.
yeah, it was ridiculous. So, anyways, Frisco exits stage left again, just like they do, and the season now comes to an end, not only in San Antonio but in all of Texas for the IFL. So, arena football is officially done for the season now in Texas, but that doesn't mean it's done completely. There's definitely still some good games to watch. Looking around the rest of the league, we had Green Bay beating Quad City, Brian's favorite team,
Uh-huh.
34-23.
Absolute dumbest
And
name in all sports.
there's a joke that I could make. I don't know if I should make it. Should I?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Quad City played more like quadriplegic city. I told
Oh,
you I shouldn't have said that one.
oh,
I shouldn't have said that one. But no, Quad City did not play up to their expectations. And keep in mind, I mean, Green Bay is a great team. Okay. And so for Quad City to hold Green Bay to 34 points is an amazing feat in and of itself. Because we know Arena.
but you got to score more than 23,
Well,
especially
yeah,
in an IFL playoff game. So
true. But we also know that IFL isn't based on, oh, hey, what's up, Sandy? What's up, Rig? Good to see you guys. Sandy, you have a great night yourself also. We'll catch you around. Now, back to the Green Bay Quad City game. We know most of these teams don't have super strong defenses because it's really hard to hold a team when there's so much fast moving action, right? But apparently Quad City had some pretty good defense and they managed to hold Green Bay to 34 points. That's pretty impressive.
yeah,
The part that's not necessarily impressive is the fact that they only scored 23, right? And Green Bay isn't necessarily known for having such a great defense. Now we know Frisco had a pretty good defense. Green Bay not so much, at least not as great as uh, yeah. I forget where I was going with that, but the point is that
squirrel.
um, yeah, squirrel exactly. Um, the point is that Green Bay has always banked on a high scoring offense, right? They just steamroll everybody. And in this game, they had a hard time, right?
No.
Could that potentially mean that somebody's found the chink in the proverbial armor, so to speak, for Green Bay? Are there some options there that some other teams could potentially take advantage of to hold Green Bay down to some of these lower scores and then just bag up the points on them? It's going to be interesting to see, right? Further down the road, you had Arizona going against the Vegas Nighthawks, and Arizona pulled out a squeaker, 39-38. Right, I'm a little bit happy about that one because it is an old AFL team,
Yep.
and but that looked like that was a beast of a game. And unfortunately, I was busy. I did not get to watch that one because BD and I were actually at the season ticket holders event with several other season ticket members, and we got to celebrate with the XFL trophy. We did not take pictures of it. That's shame on us. We should have done that. But we were examining the construction of it, and it did look a little bit haphazardly put together.
A couple of those Allen wrenches needed to be tightened up a little bit more for the football on the top. So,
yeah, it was not. It was impressive, but it wasn't as impressive as you would think it is when you're looking at it in person. So I don't know if they reused the same trophy from last year and just they forgot to, tighten some screws down during shipping or something, or if it got the FedEx treatment and got dropped 20 times. Who knows? But it looked a little.
Well, we just lost FedEx as a possible sponsor. Thanks a lot, Jay.
That's all right. They lost themselves in shipping, so it's okay. Anyway,
all right, back to the games though.
Back to the games.
You're squirreling off. Hold on now.
Yes, the last game was on Sunday, and that was San Diego versus Bay Area. Right. We've seen both of those teams here in San Antonio. We saw San Diego had a pretty decent squad. Right. They managed to go toe to toe with San Antonio, and they really kind of. I believe they won that game by only a few points. Right. So it's not a surprise that they won. It is kind of a surprise it was another tight game.
This is kind of the upset that you and I both called last week. I think San Diego was the 4th seed, and Bay Area was the 1 seed. So, this is we both picked this upset because we kind of.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you, but.
Yeah. We like you said, we've seen both these teams, and we saw what San Diego could do. So, definitely,
yep.
Not surprised, but it was it was a cool game and close game. Really, we kind of talked about it a little bit before we got on the show. All the games really this weekend were close. I mean, the furthest spread was 11 points, which again, Arena is not not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everything else was a one score game. So.
Yep. Hey, Tim, you do have a bunch of pictures, but I think your pictures are a little bit dated, probably inconsequential this season. So I'm just saying. Tim's going to kill me next time he sees me. I know it. And rightfully so. Moving on. This weekend, and actually it's not even this weekend, it's the following weekend. We are going to have the semifinal game. The first one's going to be on Monday, August 5th, right? And
no, the first one's on Friday.
Friday, I'm sorry, they've got it backwards on the website, and I missed the date. Threw me off. So the first game is going to be Friday, August 2nd, and that's going to be Massachusetts versus Green Bay. And hey, all my co-hosts are raising hell and being stupid. Do you want them out? Go do something. Bye. That's what happens when you start a new studio somewhere. You forget about the residents that are there and everything gets a little bit crazy. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm surprised my co-host hasn't yelled at me. He was going crazy before we got on air, so.
Yes.
Wow. So Friday, August 2nd,
yes.
And then Monday, August 5th are the two games.
So I'm going to share this just because of how hilarious it is. But guys, keep in mind, this is not intended to be what it's going to look like. So forgive me for any sensitive viewers. Please avert your eyes. But I'm going to share this with you guys just to get your take on this. What does that Quad City Steamwheeler logo look like to you? That should be
That's
hola, cómo estás, mi amigo? I'm
my
a little
gosh.
obviously squirreling right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
somebody
all
in the
that's all XFL my G's fault. All right.
yeah, somebody in the graphics department needs to do a little bit more research right before they show something. Anyways, so yeah, you've got your semifinal rounds in the IFL coming up, and my picks on this one, I'm gonna go with the underdogs, man. Honestly, I'm picking Massachusetts and San Diego.
I like those picks.
I mean, we've seen
I'm gonna pick Green Bay in San Diego though. I'm gonna go with the favorite for uh
okay,
for Friday's game. But I'm gonna Green Bay and San Diego are my picks for this weekend.
okay, and I think those are solid choices. I'm just worried about based on this last week's play against Quad City how Green Bay is actually going to do against a team like Massachusetts. We've seen that they're a spry, wily team, and I mean they beat San Antonio, and San Antonio had them pinned, and Massachusetts didn't give up. So I've got a feeling that that same fight, that same tenacity is going to come out against Green Bay, and they're going to wind up victorious. But we'll see, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for the IFL. I'd love to talk about some of the AIF. What's going on, Jackie? Good to see you.
Well,
Uh,
before we jump off the IFL, I think we should mention they had some issues this weekend
oh yeah,
um,
let's talk
with
about that.
some of their
Paragon Cable.
streams, and I think they started with a new like streaming partner Stadium, and I don't think it went over really well. They issued an apology on Monday. A lot of complaints on the Facebook pages and stuff for them. Just people not being able to watch the games. A lot of issues with the stream. So curious to see how they correct that going into this weekend. And I know we kind of talked about it last week. Obviously they've all their games have been on YouTube for the entire season, and then now right in the playoffs they're kind of making some changes, doing this deal with the Stadium Network, and then putting the championship game on the CBS Sports and all that. It's like, man, kind of da- dance with who brung you. Like stick with what's been good all season long, and they go change stuff, and now suddenly people are having issues watching the streams. So
Yeah, that's that's a bad look on the league. I get why they would want to do that, especially to try and have an opportunity for what they thought was more dependable software, something to get more eyes on the product, right? Because we're talking about the playoffs. And if you want to show the best of the best, that's usually the best time to try and show it to people who aren't necessarily indoor fans or don't know anything about the game at all. You want the best of the best out there. Well, can't watch the best of the best if it's not even on the screen, right?
yeah.
So hopefully they'll get all that straightened out. The semifinal rounds should hopefully go without a glitch. We'll see what happens. And I mean, it is what it is at this point, right? The damage has been done. So now the IFL is going to have to figure out how to fix it. And they can't just point fingers and blame. Like they need to take some responsibility for it also, get in front of it and say, hey,
And they did, like in their statement on Monday, they took full responsibility for it, and all that. So we'll see where they go from there.
um, God dang, I'm getting thrown under the bus, dude.
What are you talking about?
Facebook, man. I'm going to have some words with somebody. Okay. Hang on. Let me mute my microphone real quick.
Oh
I'll,
my gosh!
yeah.
All
How
right,
do I mute?
you hit that little mic button, and you muted yourself. All right, good. So while he's muted, I'll talk about a little bit of some Cowboys news.
Oh
Um,
my God. We'll deal with
oh
that in a
geez.
second, bro. Let's talk about some Cowboys news.
Let's talk about some Cowboys news. So, obviously, we're kind of kicking into training camp, middle of it. Great news for the Cowboys. Diggs was activated from the pup list today. Obviously, he had was the ACL tear early game 2 last year, which really, we kind of forgot about it throughout the season, but man, that really hurt. I think that really hurt the Cowboys because he was the best player in the secondary. Um, and not having him was painful. But he's healthy enough. Like I said, they reactivated him, kind of roll him out slowly, obviously. But that's great news to hear.
Yep. Also, kind of switching gears a little bit, going around the league. Well, we definitely being that we're talking about Cowboys and Diggs. We all know that. Well, most of us know that Reed Sinnett is trying out with the Cowboys. That could be a very good thing, right? We know Reed definitely has some talent. I think there's some raw talent there that definitely could use some development in the NFL. I think he could arguably easily make it as a third string quarterback, possibly even a second string quarterback, which Dallas may potentially need, right? Because we just don't know. Pardon me. I saw something about uh, awesome Roughnecks quarterback and choked a little bit. Um, but we know that the Cowboys could potentially use help in the quarterback situation. Okay. The two guys they got right now, uh, of the two, Dak is the biggest question, right? So is he going to have enough juice to make it through the season and into the postseason? Because we know he can make it into the postseason. He can't make it past the postseason, right?
No.
So maybe some more firepower in the locker room might be a good thing. And I think Reed Sinnett could potentially. I don't know that he's going to take Dak's job, but if he did, he sure as heck would take it for a lot less money and probably get the same results, which Cowboys fans would love.
I don't know about the same results. We'll see. Let's pump the brakes on the same results. As much as I have disdain for Dak Prescott, he is head and shoulders above talent wise of Reed Sinnett.
Brian,
Now, what
how
I
hard?
am
Hang on. How hard is it to throw 10 interceptions a year? I'm just saying.
How many interceptions did Dak throw this year?
I don't even know. I'm just saying in general.
I think he only threw like 7 or 8 or something. So it wasn't that many.
Because that's that much of a difference.
There's a big difference between 7 and 10.
What, 3?
Big difference. All right, 30%. 30% is a big difference.
30%.
All right?
Shut up.
Back to my original point. I am interested in actually seeing what Trey Lance can do. Curious, obviously Cowboys traded for him early last season or at the end of the preseason. I don't really remember which one, but he didn't play at all last year. I'm curious to see what he can do during the preseason. Obviously he's got some talent. That's why he was taken, as a top 3 pick. I don't know what happened with San Francisco with him. I don't care enough about San Francisco to watch the games or kind of see what the backup quarterbacks are doing. So I don't know what the issue was with them, but I said I'm intrigued at what he could possibly do for us. So I'd like to see him get some reps during the preseason, and maybe go from there. So
I think you've got a really good chance with finding that diamond in the rough with Trey Lance, right? I agree with Rig here that I don't really feel he necessarily got a fair shot in Frisco. I mean, especially with the quarterback situation over there. Odd man's going to be out, right? So I think you have potentially a great chance of developing, what could be the starter in the next couple of years, maybe even this year, right? Yeah. It just depends on how Dak does. You're still going to need somebody to kind of back him up, though, whether that would be Prescott or maybe even Sinnett.
Yeah, I'm gonna show XFLMIG's question here. One has to go, the other gets a 5-year deal. Dak or McCarthy?
Okay.
Oh.
Dak is gone. McCarthy gets a 5-year deduction on his deal.
McCarthy gets fired 5 years ago.
Well, I mean, that would be nice too. But look, man, a lot of your problems, a lot of them can be attributed to Dak. Let's be honest. But I don't think enough of the heat goes on McCarthy right now. because there's a reason why he's not in Green Bay, right? There's a reason why 2 years after the Super Bowl, he was gone. And it's not to say that he's a horrible coach, but he's not the coach that he used to be.
He's not a good situational coach.
No.
And that's what you need to win in the playoffs when it comes to winning time. You need a great situational coach. You know, I don't know if I can say this, but in this scenario, I would give Dak extension. Sorry, extension.
You're gonna make Jackie have a heart attack. Remember that. This is on you, bro. It's on you.
Okay. In this scenario only, I give Dak an extension. And only. McCarthy, bye.
Yep. And Mike, you're right. His coaching style, he is extremely too loose on the locker room, and you gotta hammer down on some of those spirited characters, if you will. Let's put it that way. Right? The people that want to challenge authority and kind of do things their own way. There's one boss, and it's got to be the coach. Okay.
And definitely, there's that, and you get what I always see as the sign of an undisciplined team with a undisciplined coach is the stupid penalties. Lined up in the neutral zone, the false starts, just 12 men on the field, just the ones that, holding, that happens. Sometimes you get beat, sometimes you grab, pass interference, stuff like that. Sometimes like your arm's in the wrong spot. It's the stupid, undisciplined penalties that should be avoided. And Cowboys had a bunch of those. And so that's the sign of an undisciplined team. So, and
the loss of temper,
every bit of that is on coaching.
Yeah, 100%. So switch gears here a little bit. We had talked about, Trayvon getting activated finally, which is a good thing. Looks like DJ Moore is finally getting the bag, and he got himself a contract extension, 4-year, $110 million, which arguably is a good thing, right? I was talking with Coach about it earlier today, and I think that Chicago is going to be the potential dark horse in the NFL this year. With the new quarterback and some of the key weapons that they have and everything, I think that Chicago is going to put up one hell of a fight and be a contender, right? And
really,
I hate to say it that way.
I'm not 100% sold on Caleb Williams. Fantastic college quarterback, but the league is full of fantastic quarterbacks that just didn't pan out. So I'm not,
Well, it's not actually full of quarterbacks that didn't pan out.
No, it is. They're just all the second and third stringers. So
no, that's true. I'll give you that. But like Joe Burrow, and then you had Money Manziel, who couldn't make it at all, but he was a phenomenal quarterback in college.
Oh
yeah. There's quite a few of them. In fact, we were talking about it before. Alex Magoo, right? Yeah. Back-to-back MVP for Birmingham, and now he didn't have a job. Now I think part of that.
Green Bay, he was in Green Bay. They moved him to wide receiver to kind of maybe get him in a little more, and then they just last week they released him. So
yeah, I think it was an injury waiver release, but yeah, he's definitely out. So not sure what's going to happen. He could potentially be coming back to the UFL and give it, another go. I personally wouldn't mind seeing him. I mean, he was a heck of a quarterback, and especially at the UFL league or the UFL level, he was very successful. So I'd like to see what potentially happens with him where he lands. Right.
I mean, we know a certain team that doesn't have a quarterback. It'd be might be kind of nice to see him in some steel gray and yellow.
Yes, I thought it was what do they call it? I forget what the gray. It's like anthracite gray or something like that. But
You know my answer.
um,
Steel gray.
yeah, let's just go with the non-fancy color names. Mike G. I think the Lions are going to do what they did last year, if not better. I think they'll be a playoff contender as well. And that really stinks because, again, like I said, I think Chicago's in the mix. I think Detroit's in the mix. I don't think Green Bay is in the mix. And we're going to talk about Green Bay in just a second. And you'll see what I mean. But um, I don't think Green Bay is going to be in the mix. And we know Minnesota is not. Right? Minnesota's been Minnesota for
Yeah.
the last couple of years since they stopped loving their cousins there. And it has hurt them tremendously. I think Kirk Cousins was a big part of the success that they did see. I also think he's a big part of the success that they didn't see, but that's a whole different story. Okay, now let's talk about.
Kirk Cousins is, he's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. So he has great moments, but, so.
He's the only quarterback that I can think of in our time that was a good quarterback and a bad quarterback at the same time, and you don't know which one's going to show up out on the field.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
He could lead game-winning drives, or he could throw a pick at the most crucial time. You just don't know. You just don't know. And I don't think he did either. Whee!
That
Now,
sounds like Tony Romo.
oh, nah, well, I still got some respect for Tony Romo, though, right? At least he's doing a great job in the booth. So now let's get to Green Bay. We're talking about Jordan Love. Obviously, Jordan Love just got that tremendous contract last week. And Brian, I want to get your take on it first before we go too much into it.
On the contract,
Yeah.
I
Is
mean,
it
I don't know what you're doing. You're gonna give a guy that had one good season. He wasn't a great season, but wasn't an okay season. Like, he was good. He was good. One good season, you're gonna make him the highest paid quarterback in the league. And it's the nature of the NFL, I guess. I don't know, but it's dumb because now you are sabotaging your team. You are hamstringing them to acquire talent to make your team go from good to great.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Yep.
I don't think he's worth being the highest paid quarterback in the league, and I think you're going to hurt your team with him being the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yep. Jordan Love had a very good year for him. For the league, he had a good year. Not a great year, not a bad year. He had a good year. But good years don't win championships. Okay. He's had 1 year to prove himself and what he could do. And we saw when he started out kind of hot, flubbed, went down, and then came back up after about a game or two. Okay. Arguably, he did help get us into the playoffs last year, and we did beat Dallas. Part of that was because Dallas beat Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can't give all the credit to Jordan Love in the offense or our defense or our coaching staff or anything else. We have to give some credit to Dallas. That should not translate into this record breaking contract for a quarterback who's only had 1 year to prove himself. Who cares that he sat behind Aaron Rodgers? He could have sat behind some of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. And it doesn't mean that that is going to, by osmosis, somehow translate into him being the next Hall of Fame quarterback. He needed, and I agree with Rig here, 100% I agree with Rig.
Yep.
He needed another year to show what he could do. And then he had the leverage. But instead, the Packers decided to mortgage the farm and bet everything on him. And I've got a bad feeling that this is going to blow up in our face. And I hope I'm wrong, but I got a bad feeling it's going to blow up in our face. In the meantime, what BD said is 100% true. He has now hamstringed the team because I haven't seen all the details of the contract. So I don't know how much is guaranteed. I don't know how much he's locked in for the next 4 years, how much of it is bonus money. I'm hoping a lot of it is.
I want to say off the top of my head, it was like 175 was guaranteed or whatever.
That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. That means we're on the hook for $175 million if this guy does nothing. Okay? Absolutely stupid move. I would have locked most of it into bonuses and then restructured after next year and turned it all into guaranteed money, right? That would have been the smart play. But no, they didn't do that. Okay. Now, the rest of the team's handicapped. What big name receiver are we going to have money to go
I'm
out and
sorry. You know
get?
what? It was
What?
75 million was the signing bonus, not the guaranteed.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
there's still
uh,
100 and
still
50.
165 million. That's part of the contract.
Yeah.
It does not say what the actual guaranteed part of it is, but yeah, 55 million a year is what you're paying Jordan Love.
You've got to figure at least 70% of that is probably guaranteed money,
Yeah.
right? So 70% of 160 million is still like 130 million, something like that. Like it's a lot. Okay. That's going to be a bitter pill to swallow if he's just absolute trash. In
Mm-hmm.
the meantime, we've got this money locked up in our star quarterback who may or may not actually be a star. Where's his help? What stars are we going to get on the defense, right? Because you can't just win by offense alone. We know that. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. We've got a couple of great picks from the draft. There's potentially some guys from the from the UFL that are going to be available that we're going to try out and see what happens. But so far, only the Cowboys have really been able to find those stars and make it work for them, right? And we're not the Cowboys, so I really don't think that Lightning's going to strike in Green Bay like that a third time.
Yeah.
I think this is the one year where it's going to blow up in our face, and we're going to be bad for the next 5 or 6. I hope to God I'm wrong because I don't want to hear you Cowboys fans, and I don't want to hear any of that nonsense, right? And I don't want to hear any of my Detroit fans or Chicago fans or the Minnesota fans. I don't want to hear them, but I know I'm going to have to, because I've got a bad feeling that's what's going to happen this year. So, that being the case, um, things we don't necessarily want to hear, but are actually happening. We had a couple of retirements that are happening. We talk. I don't know if we mentioned it last week. I know we mentioned it in our podcast chat, but Gary and Conley has decided to retire. He's called it quits,
Yep. And he
and
was so I kind of I knew the name. I didn't really I didn't know like kind of the whole story and stuff. But he was in the league. He got drafted about 6 years ago. Played in the NFL for a couple years. Ended up or he got hurt. I guess he got hurt his rookie year. And kind of looking at his social media posts kind of after he retired is he said he's pretty much been in constant pain since that surgery. And it's he tried to kind of make it back on a couple rosters, couldn't do it. Took a few years off of football and played with the DC Defenders this past season in the UFL. He did good. That's kind of where I knew the name from, and then obviously got invited, signed with the Cowboys for the training camp, and just a few practices in, I think he just kind of couldn't take the pain anymore of playing, and so decided to retire and just hang it up. And it sucks to hear that, just somebody who, because he was a pretty high draft pick, first round pick, I believe, and somebody with potential. Just kind of you hear it in the NFL a lot, the just get injured and never the same. But it kind of just kind of broke my heart a little bit, like reading his post, just talking about how he's just been in constant pain whenever he plays for the past 7 years, and how he wakes up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. He's in so much pain he can't rub his leg because it hurts more if he does, and it's just, man, it's just one of those brutal things in the league that you see. It's like, oh God, that sucks.
yeah. So speaking of things that probably not a bad thing, but it still kind of sucks in a little bit, right? You had Aaron Donald has finally retired from the LA Rams.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember basically his entire career, right? Heck of a football player. It's sad to see him go. It's kind of an end of an era. but you knew it was going to happen at some point in time, right? Football players can't play forever. You also had Tyler Vrabel from the Falcons that has retired, and I remember his career a little bit also. And then, of course, who could possibly forget the one-time great Michael Gallup with the Cowboys, right? He's with
Yeah,
the
we
Raiders
talked about that last year.
last
Obviously,
week.
signed. Yeah, last week. Sorry, signed with the Raiders and just kind of woke up and realized I don't want to play for the Raiders. They suck. So I'm just going to retire.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So it's some tough losses, but I'm sure that those gaps will be filled by the next generation, right? We're going to have another Aaron Donald come up somewhere, right? We're going to have another Ndamukong Suh, right? Well, hopefully not another Ndamukong Suh, but
yeah,
somebody that can play with that ferocity without stepping on people's huevos, right?
yeah, yeah.
We don't want
And
that.
we had Rashad Penny. He retired today too. Another
Oh
kind
yeah,
of. He's only 6 years in the league too. So another young kid that just decided to hang it up. Been kind of seeing that a lot lately. So
yeah. That it kind of surprises me. Oh, Fletcher Cox retired last
yeah,
season or last month. We know about Kelsey. Luke Barku retired, is what it's saying here on NFL. Luke was with the Steelers. He was, with the Brahmas the prior year, and it looks like he retired. But it looks like it's an injury retirement kind of thing, waived. So who knows? Maybe it might be a situation where he heals and comes back to the UFL for a little bit. I kind of doubt it if he's retired. If it's a injury waiver. Um, I doubt that he's probably going to be getting back into football because usually those injuries are pretty serious.
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? What else do we have going on? I definitely want to talk about our friend Terrell Davis, Terrell. Um, there's some fun stuff, and I don't know this whole story. So Brian, why don't you go ahead and take this one and fill our fans in on?
So I saw this last week, and I kind of forgot to bring it up on the show last week. And I think I saw it Tuesday during the day. I was just kind of looking around doing some stuff, and Terrell Davis, gets kicked off in let's say it's a United Airlines flight. Um, and there's a video of him basically being handcuffed and escorted off the flight by the police when they landed at the airport. Story was flight attendant said that he touched her not inappropriately. I don't want to not like that, but he uh, physically assaulted her, I guess is the the way I'll describe it. And so that's why she told everybody that happened. So that's why they brought the cops on. They landed the plane, told everybody stay in your seats. Cops came on, grabbed him, put him in handcuffs, and walked him off the plane. Comes back a couple days later. Uh, United Airlines ends up apologizing to Terrell Davis for that because what happened was as the flight attendant was walking down the aisle, he tried to get her attention. His daughter wanted something to drink, and she kind of walked by him, so he tapped her on the shoulder, and she turned around and was like, ah, started freaking out. So that was apparently, yeah. So she got him removed from the plane because he tapped her on the shoulder to ask if his daughter could have something to drink. And
Well,
from what I was reading, is she is no longer employed at American Airlines or United Airlines or
oh,
wherever it's at. So
oh,
that's a shame.
such a shame,
But I
right?
thought that was kind of a funny story there.
That is definitely people taking things a little bit too far. I mean, if it's tap on the shoulder, it's tap on the shoulder. Like you can't confuse that with anything else. You're trying to power trip. You're trying to look for an easy, cash settlement kind of thing. And I'm glad it did not work out in her favor, right? I'm not saying that athletes don't do things that they shouldn't do. I'm not saying that athletes don't act inappropriately because we know that that's not true. But in this situation, especially a guy like Terrell Davis. I mean, he's been around. He's not gonna do anything
Yeah.
that stupid. So, like, let's be realistic here, guys. Come on. So, we still have a couple of minutes left. I want to throw Mike G's question out there.
Yeah, I saw that. I'd like to talk about that too.
Yeah. So, Brian, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Dallas is picking up UFL players because of the XFL experience, or could there be another reason?
You know, I definitely think that's a part of it. Uh, Guys that kind of familiar with the kickoff. You know, you get a lot of the linebackers, the receivers, the guys that are going to be on the special teams, kind of familiar with how the play is set up. Um, uh, I think a lot of it too is we've talked about before how well they've done with UFL, XFL, USFL players. You know, with Brandon Aubrey and my mind just went blank. Devontae Turpin. Um, so you've got these players that as we talked about, this is what the league's designed to do. Give a show to NFL teams to be able to know what they can do, and Cowboys are taking advantage of it, and they're pulling in a couple diamonds in the rough that I guess maybe the other scouting team scouts are not seeing. So hey, I love seeing it. This is why the UFL exists. So
Hmm. I'm going to take a little bit different of an approach to it. Okay, we know Jerry Jones is a money man. The guy obviously bought what is arguably the most popular football franchise in the entire football history, right? This thing makes
America's
money.
team.
Yes, but it's even bigger than that. But yeah, let's go with the America's team thing. This team makes money without doing anything. They don't have to advertise. They don't have to whatever.
That's true
Now,
because we ain't done a damn thing since '96. So
yeah, and there are a bunch of kids running around over in third world countries with the 2023 Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboy T-shirts on. But
no,
that's a whole
no,
different.
because you got to actually make it to the Super Bowl to have those T-shirts printed. So
Oh, they had them printed. I'm promising you.
Jerry
Okay,
might have one printed every single year, but
right, just in case. But we know Jerry knows how to make money. I honestly think it's from a business standpoint. He already knows what kind of talent he's getting. He's getting, quality seasoned players at rock bottom basement prices because these guys are not signing as NFL uh, veterans. That's the word I was thinking. They're not getting rookie deals, but they're definitely not getting veteran deals. They're
no.
coming in as seasoned players at like probably the cheapest prices that you can get them. And I don't know what those contracts necessarily work out to, but I'm pretty certain it's not more than like a million or two a year, right? And so you've got a guy who's coming in that is a starter now that's only making a million next to your franchise quarterback that's making 53 million, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to care. The folks that are coming in from the UFL or the XFL or USFL, whatever, I don't think they're going to care that much that they're only making a million this year because they want to prove themselves and establish themselves. And they're going to work twice as hard for that $1 million so they can get the 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 million later on down the road. So I
Yeah,
think
it's
Jerry's,
possible. Yeah.
yeah, I think Jerry's playing the money aspect. It's kind of like the movie Moneyball, right? You're putting in statistically your best players for the cheapest price possible, and you're getting the most return out of them. That's what I think he's doing.
It makes sense. The league minimum is I just looked up 795,000 a year, based on how many years you've been in the NFL. Been in the NFL, not not the UFL.
Right.
So
0 years.
hey, and if you got a guy that's been in two years and has played in the UFL for a couple years, you're still based on 2 years of the NFL. So they
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I think that's a really good point. And we'll see whether these guys they're bringing in actually make it to the roster.
Yeah.
But it can be. I mean, yeah, if you're going to pay a guy for $800,000 to do the same thing that you would have to pay a guy $3 million to do, and you've got the same productivity. Well, just business sense is, well, I'm going to take the $800,000 guy because that frees up another $2 million to go after maybe the bigger free agents or whatever, to help with, lead the team to the Super Bowl.
There
So
it is right there. Right. So you've just kind of keyed in on that key point. You're freeing up money so you can reallocate those resources to get some of those bigger names. It's like something that Green Bay should be doing right now that they're obviously not, right? And I think that Jerry tested it last year with the two XFL guys that he brought in, who turned out to be really good players, and they're still playing under those, you know, bargain basement contracts, if you will, right? And so he's bringing in some more, and arguably it looks like Dallas is probably the most XFL, USFL, UFL players on the roster right now, potentially. I mean, they still got to make the cuts and stuff like that, but they've dug deep into that bag. And I think they're investing a lot that costs them very little. So, I mean, it's an intelligent business plan. It's 100% what we talked about, why the UFL is there in the first place, why we need spring ball to develop these players. And now they're going to be coming in and they're going to start making a difference. Other coaches are going to notice it. Other teams are going to notice it. Other team owners are going to start noticing it. They're probably going to start doing the same thing in the next couple of years. And then you're going to wind up seeing that if the UFL sticks around, which I'm hopeful that it does, let's just think that it will. Okay, I would be willing to bet that the NFL Players Association in the next couple of years is going to restructure the player contracts again to where players get credit for their time in the UFL or some kind of bonus kicker.
possibly something. So I looked it up. So Brandon Aubrey and Cavante Turpin both have the same contract basically, and it's 3 years, $2.5 million. They're getting about $850,000 to $900,000 a year, just a little bit above the league minimum.
Mhm.
So
And I think a hot dog from the concession stand.
And Aubrey was the best kicker in the league last year. Turpin is a fantastic return man, and he was getting used a lot more in the actual offense, kind of like the speed receiver, player kind of off the edge. So they're being productive, really productive for this team at, like I said, at a bargain. You're paying, less than $2 million for both players a season,
Yep.
for a kicker, for an all-pro kicker, and he's probably a number 4 wide receiver, but also a return man who
Yep.
can absolutely change the game in returns, and just he gets an open field on a offensive pass and he's gone. So
Yep.
you know
They are officially the pro wings of the NFL. Nothing big, nothing fancy. Doesn't cost you a lot of money, but gets the job done.
that's right.
Boom. Take that. All right. So, Brian, I think there's one other announcement that we definitely want to talk about before we kind of start wrapping up the show. Isn't there something special happening this week? I don't
Well,
remember.
there is
What would that be?
the NFL season preseason officially kicks off on Thursday.
That's right. NFL
And
preseason. We are
yeah,
officially starting the 2024-2025 football season. It's freaking time. Let's go. Now,
yeah. You got Houston and Chicago playing in the Hall of Fame game. So I mean, who cares about those two teams? I mean, I'm sure, it's gonna be
well,
fantastic. But
we are rooting for Houston.
yeah, I'm rooting for Houston, but I still don't care about Houston.
Okay. I mean, you kind of have to a little bit. It's kind of in our show name. But
I just
I
gotta
get
talk
your
about them.
point.
I don't have to care about them. All right,
Yeah,
that's.
I get your point.
But hey, I mean, season's here. We got this, and then we got 3 more weeks of preseason games, and then the regular season kicks off. So I mean, we are we're just about a month away from the NFL season kicking off. So
Yep.
fantastic! I can't wait.
Yep. Now, I know some of our friends out there are probably not nearly as excited as we are, and that's cool. I get it, right? A lot of us that are involved with the show, that watch the show, that support the show, we're definitely just as involved with the UFL as we are the NFL, right? Think of it this way: the NFL is a great placeholder to keep you busy until the UFL season starts next season, right? We still don't have any updates. We don't really know anything about when season tickets are going to be available for sale. Some teams have gotten their notifications. We have not yet. We definitely don't know what the schedule is going to be. We don't know when the draft is going to be for the UFL. But we're definitely trying to keep an eye on all that, keep you guys informed because we want you
Well,
all. Go ahead.
not quite. So we do kind of have a window for the season. You may not have been in the made it to the event on Saturday by then, but Evan was talking, and they did say it is probably going to be in the same window of when this past season was, kind of starting towards the end of March, and that's just kind of a decision the league has made to get the most games on network television that they can.
Mhm.
It's a good, it sucks really for those of us in Texas, southern states when we're trying to tailgate in
So
June.
most, yeah,
But yeah,
most of the
but
league.
for the league, it'll get more views. And really, I mean, we saw the league uh, uh, attendance was a little down for most of the teams, but the viewership was way up. And
Mhm.
so this helps with that. So I I wish we would start the week after the Super Bowl, kind of in the past. I like that weather. I'm not built for the heat, so but I totally understand why the league's going to do it and why they're keeping it towards the end of March for starting.
You're right. I mean, it's all a business decision, and you
Yeah,
want the season to be when you can get the most eyes on it.
and
And
that's what's going to make the league succeed at the
mhm,
end of the day. You
right,
know, me being able to tailgate when it's cold outside is not going to determine whether this league makes it or not. So
100%, 100%. No, I think even though we hate it, even though we disagree with it, I think ultimately it makes the best. It's the best business decision that it's going to keep the most eyes on the product, and we saw a noticeable jump in viewership.
no,
Now, granted, it was kind of the only thing on, right? So it's hard to say, whether that jump in viewership was because of the merger or because of the time slots that they had or whatever. And they didn't really have any competition at that time. Whereas last year, 2 years ago, you had UFL, or I'm sorry, XFL versus USFL,
yeah.
right? And that stole a lot of viewership. But
And you had March Madness kind of thrown in the middle of it, which a late start in March is bypassing all of that. So like I said, I don't like it, but I understand it's a good decision for the league, and like I said, it's not all about me. So I'll
yeah,
just buy a big old misting fan and just carry it wherever I go.
exactly. Speaking of which, we need to start looking into tailgate merchandise to make this a little bit more comfortable
Yeah,
because it was absolutely ridiculous. Okay.
those last few weeks were just brutal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
So
sorry, we'll have a nice setup for everybody.
yeah. And for all you folks kind of around the league that are planning on doing tailgating, take the time now to start looking at some of those things. That way you can outfit your tailgate to be a little bit more, compatible with weather situations. I know our friends in Houston and Arlington, they're going to have to compete with the heat just like we do. St. Louis definitely had to towards the end of the season, and they're not normally warm weather people, so it's a little bit more brutal on them. DC, well, DC is just DC. Like, what are you gonna do, right? They tailgate in a bar, so just turn the AC on, you'll be fine. Um, but yeah, in the meantime, just make sure that you're taking the time to start planning for your tailgating and stuff now. That way, it makes it a little bit cheaper in the long run, right? You can spread those expenses out, and just makes it a little bit easier on your pocketbook. But those are next season problems. Right now, we're going to try and keep abreast of all the information as it comes out. We'll keep you updated if we hear anything about season tickets, about confirmation of the schedule. I'm definitely looking forward to the draft. I'm also looking forward to the NFL season, man.
I am too. I am too. I
Yeah.
know we have a lot of friends, Brahmas fans, UFL fans that kind of, man, the UFL has ruined the NFL for me. I'm just not excited about it. That's not me. I love the NFL, and
Yep.
so I'm not really sure what the Cowboys are going to do this year, even though it is our year. But I'm still looking forward to it. So
Yep. And I'm definitely not going to be bold enough to say it's the Packers' year. But you have to understand that I became a Packers fan in 1984 when we were arguably the worst.
what
Uh,
a hundred? Oh, hell no!
that's
In St.
because
Louis,
yeah, we're
hell
sending
no.
our excess heat up there because we're done with it here. So we
I
figured no
mean,
place better.
dude, it's been nice for these last 2 weeks. It has been nice in San Antonio. Last week
Because
we
it's
were in
been
the
raining.
I know it was fantastic. It was raining in mid to high 80s all week. This week we've been in like the low to mid 90s, which is fantastic for us. I think last year we were in a streak of like 87 freaking 100-degree days in a row. So, dude,
Yeah,
I'll take it. I will take it.
we've done way worse.
I
We've
know.
done we've done well over 100 days and
Oh,
100
I know.
plus.
I will take
And
every bit of a summer day in the 90s that I can get.
right. And John, I'm not saying that it doesn't get that hot in St. Louis. What I'm saying is you guys are not a warm weather city like St. Louis or like San Antonio rather. You don't do well with those kinds of numbers, right?
I
You
don't do
guys
well with those
melt.
kinds of numbers.
You,
I'm way too fat for it to be hot.
yep. Your arch droops. It gets that warm. Okay. So you guys can't handle that. We're a little bit beefier. But oh, see, you're right. XFL Mike G just said it. We just jinxed
Yeah.
us. But anyways, okay, we're not a weather show. We're not going to go on that. Guys, there's still plenty of football to watch before preseason even starts, even though it starts this Thursday. You've got the IFL champion or semifinals going on this weekend. You've got preseason starting this Thursday, and then the week after, the rest of the teams are going to catch up. And so there is plenty of football. College football is getting ready to kick off. High school football is going to be getting ready to kick off, and I, of course, am going to be trying to cover as much as I can from where I'm at, where my new studio is at, because I happen to be fairly close to a certain historic building that they, much like the Cowboys, haven't won a state championship in quite some time themselves, but they've got 3 high schools to talk about, and that should give me coverage for several others. And this has got to be the arguably the buildup
Yeah.
before the perfect time of year, right? We are getting ready to take off. It is almost football season. You can't get better than this, man. So, and we're just going to ride that wave all the way through this season. And then we're going to crescendo when we get into UFL season next year. It's going to be an awesome time. Brian, you got anything else before we sign out?
No, that is it for me.
I definitely have. Shout out to our sponsor, W Energy. Thank you guys so much for everything you do for us. Guys, if you're interested in getting energy drinks, maybe you're feeling a little bit slow and sluggish with your performance at work and stuff like that, go to our website, click on the link, get yourself a discount, try some of this W Energy drink. It's solid stuff. It's not like a normal pre-workout where you get the jitters or like the energy drinks where you just a little bit antsy and shaky and then you have that horrible crash at the end. This is made with all natural, good stuff. I don't remember all the products that are in it because I don't have the can in front of me right now, but this gives you good sustainable energy and it doesn't give you that crash at the end. Gamers use it all the time. I'm trying to get my buddies at the gym to start using it, and this is good stuff. So again, guys, thank you so much for everything you do. More importantly, thank you fans for watching us and tuning in every week and dealing with our ridiculousness. We love you guys all, and we'll catch you guys next week, all right?
Thank you guys. Y'all have a good one.
Horns forward. Let's go, baby. Let's go.